Hello AP Biology students, let's go over the 11th section in Unit 7. And in this section, we're going to talk about something called life history. Basically, we're going to cover in this section what has happened from the beginning of time up until now, or what the scientific evidence supports has happened. I like to start out here with the Big Bang Theory, and not the TV show. We're talking about the theory that states that all matter existed in a small area until there was a massive expansion of space and time some 13.8 billion years ago. It took millions and millions and millions of years for atoms then to start to condense and then form molecules. Scientists don't know what happened before the Big Bang or why the Big Bang even happened, but the evidence still points to it happening. And it took billions of years from the beginning of time in our universe for life to first appear. Now, a really important experiment that was conducted in the 1950s is called the Miller-Urey experiment. Basically, this experiment tried to mimic the atmospheric and just conditions of life in that early time period. In this experiment, they added different chemicals to a closed environment and added heat and an electrical shock. This again would have just mimicked what Earth would have been like during that time period. After a week of running this experiment, they found a variety of amino acids and other organic molecules. After this experiment was replicated, they actually found all 20 amino acids. This experiment wasn't trying to make new life. All this experiment showed was that it was possible for organic molecules to form on their own without life. This is what that experiment looked like. You can see different molecules such as methane, hydrogen, and water being placed in a closed environment with heat and an electrical shock. And after some time, small organic molecules did form. Again, showing that these organic molecules didn't need life to actually make them. They appear on their own. And these molecules would appear through natural processes. This leads us to the steps that may have occurred to form life. First is the monomers of certain molecules being formed throughout natural reactions. These monomers would eventually lead to larger polymers. Once these polymers form, then protocells can form. These are just fluid-filled vesicles that are made of certain polymers. Once we have protocells, if those cells somehow form a self-replicating system, we can essentially have life. A self-replicating system is just a system that replicates itself, like RNA or DNA. And this is where the RNA world hypothesis comes from. This states that all life started out using RNA as a heritable factor instead of DNA. The reason RNA was used was because it could act like a heritable factor as well as a worker or like an enzyme. There are actually types of enzymes known as ribozymes that are made of purely RNA. What then evolved over millions and millions of years was RNA making something called DNA. Obviously, we know what DNA is, but this is the heritable factor that's passed from parent to offspring. Now, RNA is still used in this process of going from DNA to RNA to protein, but this serves as like an intermediate between DNA and a protein. And now life uses proteins as the workers of the cell, not just RNA. Now, LUCA is the name we give for the first life on Earth. This is called the last universal common ancestor. And basically, there may have been a lot of different types of life that tried to figure out a way to form life or to be a replicating system, but they went extinct, obviously. The last common ancestor to all life on Earth, you can see this is tied into all bacteria, archaea, and eukarya, the three major kingdoms, again is called LUCA, the last universal common ancestor.